So what should you charge for travel filmmaking? What's up, guys? Ceebz here. And in this video, I'm talking to my good friend, Megan. We're breaking down a client that she's working on a proposal for to actually go to Italy. So we cover everything as far as what you should be charging for your video production services when you travel. Should clients be paying for travel days? We talk about different ways that you can showcase the true value of the assets that you'll be able to capture and create for those clients, and even things that like pricing breakdowns and ways that you can just position it a little bit better to ultimately get paid to go on these incredible trips, create content, and then ultimately get these clients on retainers. So definitely let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and stay tuned. There's a ton of great info in this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Basically, we got connected with this luxury travel planner. She mostly specializes in Europe. And she started doing these group trips this past year. And so, in theory, I think she covers all the seats on this trip ahead of time and then sells the seats. Mm-hmm. So she has a trip in July and was reaching out to say, okay, if I send you on this trip, right, if I make you one of those seats, what would you charge to shoot a bunch of content, to come and shoot? Which is great. Great question. I'm like, here for it. And I kind of jokingly was like, dude, just send me. But I know that I need to actually charge for that because it's, 4 or 5 days of constant shooting. I mean, that's a lot of work,
right?
Even if it is somewhere beautiful.
Right.
So trying to figure that out. And then the other piece of it was, being a strategist, my immediate thought was, what are we going to make from this? Right? What content are we going to make from the footage? And I had some ideas for her, a video specifically for this trip, some testimonials while we're there, and then recurring kind of content for social media. But her perspective was she really wanted to leave that open-ended a little bit, to see what we get and then be flexible to change that. So she was asking, could we essentially price the two pieces? So the production itself, and then what we think we're going to do post-production, but essentially be able to reassess that after the trip.
Okay.
Which is weird.
Makes sense. So a couple things. So yeah, definitely. I agree with you because the big thing with travel, even if it's like a week, that's basically like 2 weeks out of your flow. You got to prep for it. You got to figure out everything you need. You got to figure out how to have it all condensed the right way based on the activities you're going to be doing, getting back in the loop. It's overseas too.
Yeah, it's Italy.
So you have time change to deal with, body adjustment over there. You come back, you're exhausted, especially anything in Europe. I'm always like, it excites me less knowing my body's got to go through that and like what it takes versus a 1 or 2 hour time change, like going south to South America or the Caribbean or something like that. So always something you have to consider. Definitely, like you said, to always push for those better seats, because exactly that, you get on first, you can check your gear. There's nothing to worry about. Like at the end of the day, you're responsible for making the shoot happens. And if you don't have your gear, what's going to happen? Like in Argentina, when we just went down there to go to Antarctica, we didn't have our checked bags for like 2 days, but we had all the gear, so we were good. So I understand the situation you're in, because some clients are very much like exactly where you're at. Well, let's just do this, then we'll figure out what comes out of it and like all the good stuff we got. That's definitely one way to price it. Usually in my head, what I'm figuring is, okay, like if my day rate is 1,500 just to shoot, and you want me for 5 days of filming over there, it's a full travel day there and a full travel day back. So I'll do 5 times 1,500. And then travel days, I always charge half day rate. At least if you're making me sit on a plane and fly across the country and there's nothing else I can do and my body's hurting and all this stuff, like, of course I'm charging you, because I can't even answer phone calls and do, the normal stuff like I would. So that's another thing to always consider, travel days. Even if it's like, well, we're going to fly to Italy, and then on Thursday, we actually fly over to Germany, so you won't be filming that day. It's like, okay, well, that's another travel day. That's a half day rate. You're still out there sitting on planes. It's your time. So that's one way to think about it. And then what you can do with editing would be basically be like, look, there's, we can pull a ton of content out of what we're going to get. We're going to go in with a plan. And then what we can do is set up like a 50-hour editing block, 100-hour editing block. For 50 hours, our rate is 50 times 125, 150, whatever. And that kind of helps them conceptualize what they need to be outlining for their budget. That's really where they're coming from. Like, where is this even going to cost me? So the challenge with that approach is now they're like, okay, it's going to be 20 grand to do this, right? And what are we really creating? So it's a backward approach because you're not going in with a value add. So how I transitioned was with this other package we do. And it's basically one of the packages that we're like dialing into, just, this is what we want to push. This is our product, if you will. So instead of just going in being like, one, it's going to be a nightmare if you go in and shoot and don't know what you're shooting or what you're creating. The post-production process is going to take twice as long. So there's a perfect way to be like, we need to figure out what we're doing. Otherwise, you're going to be paying twice as long for the editing because we're not shooting to edit. We're trying to concoct something out of chaos, So that's really not how we like to work, because you're going to have a really hard time putting editors on that, because you're not going to tell them no to what to tell them to do. You're just gonna be like, hey, these are like, and then now it's your time. So it's even more. And you don't want to go that route. So how I like to look at this, and exactly how I position it, is, look, we're going to be capturing a lot of these assets for your video business card, right? Is this location like her primary location, or does she go all over?
She goes all over. It's convenient because we're doing the video business card anyway. She's already signed on for that. And in this first iteration before the trip, most of that footage is going to be either stock or coming from her partners overseas, whatever they use, assuming she can get permission to use that in the BBC.
Right.
So some of this would be swapping in footage, essentially, of like actually her over there. That's not like phone footage and stuff. Okay.
And so she does group trips all over though, right?
Yeah. So she's done a bunch of custom trips all over. The group trips she started last year, and she's focusing on Italy and Scotland for now.
Okay.
Which are obviously very visually different. And the Scotland trip, I think she's going in May.
Okay.
And then this Italy trip would be July and October of this year.
Okay. So here's how I would look at it. Like, your clientele have questions. How much time does she spend on the phone answering these questions as a custom concierge? The more info you can get those people ahead of time, the easier the sales process becomes. And you can actually start almost automating the whole thing between the right video assets and then the right lead gen form, basically. So like in the VBC, being able to say, for us to get going, we need you to fill that out so we can figure out these details, and we'll get in touch. And like, then we can really like start planning the trip of a lifetime. So with our client in Napa, what we did was the same thing. We did a video business card, and then we did 10 other videos based around just like most frequently asked questions or topics, or even other things that will rank well in terms of like YouTube SEO. So she's in Napa Valley. So why are her wine tastings different than what you can just book on Google? What is the transportation like? What details are they actually taking care of, and what do the clients need to take care of? What is this certain experience like? What's that experience like? What's this experience like? Right. So we did videos around all these different experiences that we basically set up. So when someone sees an ad or comes through the website or whatever, they can just do their own homework. And by the time they call, they're like, hey, I know exactly how this works. I'm excited. Like, let's figure this out. So I would look at it as, what we should do is, Italy's going to be a main spot for you. A lot of people have questions about how it works, right? How does travel work? How does transportation work? What kind of experiences is she arranging? So I'm sure the experiences change from time to time, or restaurants change from time to time. So to be able to do, like, the beauty of this package is you take a lot of talking head footage that you can get anywhere in a studio. You can run it remote through Zoom, and you can start laying on this B-roll to support it all, right? So if it is like, how does the transportation and the logistics work? It's like, oh, well, we all meet here, we get together, and then, you see everyone together. She's got the sign, like, they get to the hotel, they're getting champagne, we arrange every detail along the way, etc. What kind of experiences? Look, the experiences range from private dining in some of the finest restaurants in Italy to learning how to make homemade pasta with a chef over there, right? And you're capturing some of these things, and she's talking about all the other things that maybe she does, but you're not capturing that one time, but the B-roll is still supporting it as well. And so basically you start shooting all of that and start building. I would look at finding ways to do like 6 videos on just supporting frequently asked questions. Or the other way would be like Italy, creating a video around Italy luxury travel concierge. And that is the topic of the video. And by getting that on YouTube, that's going to start ranking really high. And when someone's doing their homework for Italy and they're like, hey, where can we just find a luxury concierge? Boom, top of the list is that, or her video business card or something like that. If she works with certain partners out there, right? Certain hotels, you go into the hotels and she's like, we have certain partners, and based on your requirements or what you prefer the most, we can set you up in the center of town or on the countryside overlooking a vineyard. I don't know. But I would come up with like 6 good video topics, 10 video topics ahead of time, because then you can pitch your video business card. I call these like experiential videos, topic videos, whatever they are. And then now you have all the B-roll too, should you want to create an ad. So now you can create the ad, you can drive them to the landing page now that has the video business card, all these other videos that they can do their homework, fill out the form, and like the process becomes that much simpler. And truthfully, then you just get them on a retainer for ongoing work. So that's where the beauty is, because you get this $25K package up front, then you get them on a $2-3 grand retainer each month to keep the leads coming in. Because now that it's made, and now that you have your rock solid foundation, like the building's got to go, you got to get people in. So that's the next part of it. So even when you pitch this, I always 2 phases. Phase 1, this is what we're doing with the videos. These are the assets we're going to create. Phase 2, this is what we're going to do. We're not signing up for this today. I'm just telling you, like, the way I work is I see what needs to be done. I know we can do it. I know I can take you there. And like, I like working with people long-term that are all in. So I'm like, I also need to know that you're all in. If we do these videos, they'll be in place. But once again, we already talked about how much traffic you get or how people are going to see this. We got to find ways to get that in front of more people, even if it's a $500,000 budget each month, then you can still get just a little bit of management fee. So those are the 2 things. And then when you base it on that value that they're going to get and how much better it's going to make your sales process, and how you're then going to be going to Scotland with her and start teeing it up in her brain, right? So you build it for Italy first, you build it for there. Now you start tying in Scotland footage into the VBC. You get like a little, a $500,000 VBC revamp fee to talk about, oh, we do Italy, we do Scotland. Like, you need a destination that you need somewhere else, we can arrange it. And then boom, just B-roll of like Antarctica. I'll send it to you.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. And so like, then it's a lot easier in their brain to see the long-term vision and how this is all going to work, which is where I hate when people are just like, well, what will it cost for 1 week? And I'm like, well, what are we doing with that week? What are we creating from that? I can give you a hard drive, or we could spend 200 hours plus and still have more content that we can be creating. So this package also, like I did this package for a client at the end of 2020. 2021, we didn't shoot one video. We only ran ads. That company did about $2 million extra in business from all the new business coming in. And we didn't have to shoot one more video, and we have them on retainer. Now I'm bumping that retainer and being like, all right, now we need more content. It's all there. Look at the numbers. And it's a no-brainer for them. They're just
of course, yeah.
You know,
like, yes, please keep making me money, Ceebz.
Exactly. And it's like, I mean, if you don't want to do it, that's fine. But just know, like, that's going to make me uninterested because I see it and I thrive on growth and progress, not just getting a check from you guys each month, you know?
Right. Right. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. That's definitely helpful.
Also
so
with
my
travel,
question,
all expenses covered.
Oh yeah.
Including baggage, flight, hotel, Ubers, per diem for food if they're not covering the cost of the food. I usually do $75 per day per person. Keep in mind, you're going to be eating in like hotels and on the go, airports. It's always way more expensive. So just letting them know, like, you know, I always phrase it as $75 per day per person per diem. If client covers some of these expenses, it will not be added to the final expense invoice or something like that.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. So you would say essentially for that phase one, you're going to create the VBC plus, you know, 5 to 10 additional videos, right, and an ad asset.
So I usually pitch it. All right. So what I usually do is I say, look, for 25,000, we're going to create basically like get everything set up. So we're going to do your video business card. We're going to do at least 2 testimonials for the site with people while they're out there, capturing the raw, authentic experience, like the right moment. Yeah. I'm going to go up to them and like, can you believe what's happening? Like, holy shit. No, this is, tears are in my eyes, you know? So you have now your main like anchor video, which is your VBC. You have your supporting evidence with the video testimonials and then all the other B-roll. Plus you're going to have like 6 other experiential videos around frequently asked questions, really cool activities that you do out there. Let's say like one client I was talking to arranges private tours at the Vatican somehow. So it could just be a video on one topic like that. And then you say, we're going to make like one ad for you, you know, 15, 30 seconds. We'll do like a variation or 2, but it's only going to be the opening text or the opening shot that we're going to change just so we could split test a couple things. And then, so then you're going to have all pieces of like your funnel created. And then what I'll usually do is just to help push them over. I usually say, and like if they're on the fence, and typically like I charge $1,500 to set up the whole ad campaign after this. I'll waive that fee, you know, in good faith, knowing that. And then it's like, okay, you know, you're giving me a little here. You're showing me there's value. You're breaking down numbers. You know, if they really need to get into, is this really make sense? It's like, well, what do you make on average per person? How many people do we need to sell to make this make sense? It's probably at least $1,500, $2,000 a person within one trip booked. It's like, okay, so now we have it created and we can run ads to it for the next several years.
Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely a no-brainer. Well, and especially like me doing the math right now, she's already signed on for the VBC alone. Like she's already bought into that, paid a deposit. We've already got that on the books. And that she agreed to for $4,500. I was running it on sale end of last year. So she's already committed that amount, right? So this is, you know, if we say, okay, well, let's reconsider this in the context of the whole, because if we're already planning to shoot the VBC, if we just add on like 30 minutes or an hour to that shoot time and ask you these questions while we're in the same setup, it's already like the cameras are rolling, the lights are on, right? Then we essentially fold the VBC into this bigger plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
exactly.
and it's not, you know, even if we priced it in, you know, 5 figures and stuff, like that's still not going to feel as much because we've
Right.
already committed the 4,500
Right.
to it, right? This isn't like that big of a leap. My next question is, so the ads, and this is kind of diverging into like ad territory. I mean, you know me, I've never been very confident or successful with ads in the past personally. But you absolutely have, right? And you've kind of gotten it down to a science at this point. If that was something like, I obviously think that ads would be a huge play for her because of what she sells and how people find her. I think that's really, really important. I don't get the sense it's something that she's dabbled with before.
Right.
So as both her and me being very green in this space, what would you recommend if we wanted to approach something like that without it being a massive risk?
I can just show, like, even just getting $500 and setting up a simple, just like show the traffic coming through, etc. Like, it takes time to dial in ads. And the biggest thing, if people have not run ads, that I always try to really make clear up front is, look, the way ads work is we fail before we win. It is a guarantee. You have to spend money to basically buy the data from Facebook to figure out where to continue putting these ads, right? And in the beginning, you just start wide and it's expensive. And over time, you narrow in and get into your target customers and clients. But you know, there's a reason most ad agencies want 3 to 6 months to try to dial it in. I'm not even asking for that. I'm saying, look, let's figure this out. I know we can do it. It's going to start driving traffic. And then as we go, we can start implementing the next testimonial and retargeting and all these other things. I think a good approach could be trying to find someone who does ads that's kind of at a similar spot in business. So to build the people you want to be bringing on under you, whether it's a video editor, an ad person, a website person, etc., are the people that are going to be bringing people in under them. You want to find people like us that are hungry and that are going to be working hard to figure out systems, to build their business, to take things to the next level that you guys can grow together. So as you can, if you can find a way to do like a mutually beneficial relationship, I'll even say, because it's not even a partnership. It's just like, look, I have clients that need ads. You probably have clients that need videos. You help me understand the ad side, sit with some of my clients, say, hey, this is my ad partner. I'm going to start picking up on what you're saying and how it goes, so I can just position it better for my clients for you, and vice versa, you know? So then you basically have like a free consultant on one end to where you're just like, I don't know, should I pitch this? Is this a good click-through rate, this or that? You at least have someone there to be like, hey, no, everything's looking good on that end. And then if you're finding someone as well who's also trying to grow, they're going to be bringing in people under them. So you don't need to bring someone else in and then train them all on your systems again. They'll train them for you and it frees up all your time. And then they just raise their pricing, but you're making more and you're sending them more work. And it's like, okay, this works, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. What would your feelings be? Because the only people that I really know and trust in the ad space at this point are kind of their own business. I don't think they're very big, but it's definitely more than like an individual person. Is that I think my fear is, because I've had issues working with marketing agencies before. Yeah. My fear is getting too many cooks in the kitchen. Right. So would you pursue like finding a single ad person or is that?
So
okay?
I'm in the process right now of, I have ad people, but I'm looking for a very specific ad person that knows websites and video as well, to be able to see the overall picture. Because right now it's like you got to monitor everything. They're just optimizing, not really looking at the bigger picture. And like, that's where my role comes in. It's just like overall strategist and like consultant and figuring out just what the hell's happening and then being like, hey, we need to do this. So if you work with an agency, it works. But typically what happens is 6 months in, 8 months in, a year, like everything just slowly just starts to go down. You know, they start really fresh, they really want to impress, and then like over time it just becomes stagnant. And if you're not constantly on top of it, it's the same thing. And it's the same thing with freelancers too. If you're never checking in or seeing the reports or emailing them, they just let the ads run because they're like, I mean, I guess they're happy, whatever. Right. I think it's better for me personally. I want to find the one person that meshes well with everyone that we're working with. Secondly, that is like obsessed with digital marketing. Like, I don't want to sit there and be like, oh, hey, here's a new best practice. The guy I talked to this morning is pursuing his master's in digital marketing now, and he's been doing it for 12 years already. You know, he loves it. He's super hungry for it. So I've always liked hiring someone, bringing them into my organization, because the way I operate is probably a lot less strategic and planned than you. I'm a lot of times just flying by the seat of my pants, and I need someone when I say, hey, can you hop on a call? Hey, jump on Zoom. Hey, you know, I know they're there to help facilitate what I'm working on to keep me being able to move things forward. So that's why I like bringing someone in. If you get really systematized and whatnot, and you're scheduling, hey, let's meet Mondays and Thursdays at 11, we're going to review everything and just see how it's going. Like you just got to dial that in. But I'm looking for people that are just going to do it.
Yeah.
My strategy is like, you either work or you don't. And if you don't see what we're doing and what we're building, then like, get the fuck out. Like, what, you know, there's no point to keep doing stuff together.
Yeah. Well, and I've gotten incredibly lucky with our team that the editors we have are incredibly talented and fast, and they actually really enjoy editing, which makes it not a push at all. He's like, here you go, have fun, you know, and they're like, okay. So that just finding that person but for ads.
Right.
So that's really good. So one last question, because I know I'm probably, it's 11 o'clock. Let me ask this way. If I were to start her out with baby steps, because even for the 4,500, like we had to break that up into monthly payments for her, which obviously we'd have to do for all of this anyway, which is fine. I'm totally okay with that cash flow wise. If I were to start out with baby steps and say like, okay, why don't we, you know, knowing we can create later, right? That additional hourly kind of edits and things like that. Like minimum viable product, you know, if I roll up saying, okay, let's do the VBC and
so
at least 3 to 5.
A couple ways you can do it. One, like with that 20, is it just going to be you filming if you went?
Yeah.
Okay. So like with that 25 grand, usually it's like me and 2 other people too. So just a note, I would probably still charge for just me and 1 other person. But lately I've been bringing in a third to get them dialed in on how we do that package. So now I don't need to go do it anymore, and I can just sell. And if it's sweet, I go and chill.
Yeah.
See you guys. I'll be here. So what I did with one client was basically, I'm like, look, I charge 25 for this package. I will not waver on that. I know the value of it. I've saved companies $400,000 a year in their marketing costs with this package. We've made companies millions of dollars with this package, et cetera. And it was just like, cash flow is tough right now. I get it. So I said, okay, well, what if we break this up into, let's look at it as 6 months or something. You know, ultimately I want to get 15,000 for this based on what I know we can do with this content and make really strong, you know, without dragging it out too much and really being like, okay, let's just create more and more. But it's a ton of editing. It is a ton. And the way the editing process works though, is you have to basically do everything just to make the one video business card. Like you're going through all the footage, you're organizing it all. And then the next video, you basically start from scratch from just the basics and start. So what if we did, we just focus on this trip and the VBC and incorporating some of this into it, right? And for that, you get me $5,000 as a first milestone payment, once that's delivered. And then what we'll do next is the next 2 videos, and or the next 3 or whatever, that you can break it up into that, or you could say, look, just throw me $5,000 for the filming. Like there's going to be, just so probably $10,000 to $15,000 worth of videos and editing that we should be doing from this, that
right.
If we don't, it's actually going to hurt me because I know what kind of content we're going to get from this and how beneficial it will be for your long term. But I also understand the situation you're in. So I'm looking at this as our long-term relationship, right? If you're able to get me, some money here so I can, a week to Europe is really like 2 weeks of my time, between this and that. If you're able to do that, it helps me take the time to go do that. And then we can go into some edits and do, 2 edits here, 2 edits there, whatever. But let's dial in top 8 video topics we would want to do, knowing 6 of them are going to come out really good. And 2 of them, maybe an activity got canceled and you can't get that, So always we usually plan 12 topics to do 10 videos. And then at the end, we just cut the crap ones.
Yeah.
And then you can approach it that way too.
Yeah. I think that's brilliant because it's like we're setting her up with the ability to create. I think that's the hard thing, right? To help her understand is we need to have the ability to create a year's worth of content, right? Even if you don't end up actually using that, right?
Right. And then realistically, you're getting that video library from that trip. And now you really don't need to, you need to do the heavy lifting now, get these things in place, and then it's going to start paying off. And then it's like, okay, do we want to do another location?
Right.
Or does it make sense to do Italy again? Because we have this one corporate event for 100 people that came through. And this makes me 10 times the money with half the effort. So it's like, well, what we need to do now is create that. We need to make an ad about corporate events talking about that. We need to make basically a new VBC just talking about how you work with corporate travel planners and other people to create these events. We need a landing page that really just talks to them in that language, because it's very different than a couple traveling. They want to know, hey, if we work with you, am I not going to look like an idiot? You're going to really crush it for my company, versus like on this end, it's like you're building, like your loved one's going to love you even more, by this. So I also look at it, and this is really just a matter of personal, like how much you want to do more of this. So for me, like you said, I would probably do the project for free, knowing now I have this to show to the next client. So I just think about that as like, whatever it takes to do it and be able to capture that and then market that and then put it out there. That's also like, you might lose $5,000 on this deal, but now you've dialed in the $25,000 package, and it's not even a question for the next person. You've dialed it in with your editors. They know exactly what to do. And now you're just.
Yeah, exactly. Because the big niche that I'm targeting is these international social impact businesses. And the one thing that I need to be able to prove to them, which I have not been able to yet, is that we do well under travel, right?
Right.
We were able, and I think that was the big thing with New York, that I made a big deal about the fact that we did not check a single bag, and we were there with all our personal stuff and all our gear to shoot the BBC within our travel, like our on board luggage. So that was very, very intentional to show people like, hey, we're good at travel. We're not going to get screwed by our check bags. But yeah, I think that's a big deal. And then having that content to promote for ourselves to kind of frame us as this company that does travel work, right?
Yeah. I mean, on one project we did, I brought another person just so I could shoot behind the scenes of the team doing their thing. I basically, all our profit on that, I just was like, it's better to get the marketing content on this. It wasn't a well-paid job. We were literally doing it for marketing purposes.
Right.
But it's a national TV show. So I'm like, we can't
Yeah.
just be doing a national TV show, like not be able to really share it because it's not contract stuff.
Yeah.
But we can get photos while we're out there. Hey, filming a national TV show for Lifetime.
Yeah.
So I always look for those opportunities, and it's like, it's worth it. Because when you really look at business, it's a series of up and then up and then up. You know, you start doing sales and you're like, oh shit, we're really busy. I got to find editors, figure it out. You know, your sales slow down. Then you're like, okay, got editors. We're doing more sales. Oh crap, man. Now like I need an assistant.
Yep.
And then slow back down. Oh shit, I'm burnt out. Oh, I'm having a kid. You
Yeah.
know? So, so
I guess that's my question then. So if the options were, okay, I can do it just me and you pay me $5,000, right, for that, just to come and shoot, or don't pay me the $5,000, just cover me and another person going so that we can get the behind the scenes, which would be more valuable, do you think?
Hell yeah. Extra hand
That's
on
more
set.
valuable?
Yeah, because now you show two people traveling versus just you. It showcase, like, going back. So in the beginning, we were the same way with like, hey, look how small all our stuff is. It fits anywhere, this and that. So one job we did with actually Lufthansa, when we showed up, they were like, thought we were amateurs, and which we were, like,
Right. Yeah.
totally. But what I actually started shifting it to show what we're bringing, because I want clients queued up to the fact that we travel with bags, and sometimes it's a couple $100 extra in fees. You know, so I try to show now, look, we're flying either exit or comfort class. You know, we're always boarding early to make sure the gear's up top. Look at all this stuff. We need big rental cars. You know, I know you think a premium SUV is good for 4 people, but 4 people plus 2 weeks of clothing, plus production equipment, plus a DJ board. Like, how are we going to fit all these amazing things for our road trip in the SUV? So we got an RV.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like, and that will happen. I think too, it makes it way more fun for you. You're able to dial in someone and kind of get them like, hey, up to speed and just figure it out. You have a second shooter to capture much better footage. And then two, like you have them to shoot you directing a group, you know, doing whatever out here in Italy, directing shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause that's one thing I am really, really terrible, even stateside, about BTS. Like, I have none. It's terrible because I'm always on set and I'm always actually doing the thing. So yeah, that actually might be worth it if I can. Cause my initial thought, don't tell her, my initial thought is like, I might reach out to Paige because it's a girls trip. So I can't really take Scott, and keep like the vibe right.
Right.
So that would be the next question, is to reach out to Paige, be like, hey, you want to go to Italy?
I mean, that's how we started with a lot of our trips. They were just free trips. I basically said, look, I'll do this. We'll shoot the content. But like, as far anything editing is like, I need budget for that because I'm taking 2 weeks out of my time to do this. When I get back, business needs to go. You know, I got a family, I got all this other stuff going on. So like, just so the expectations are clear, don't expect me to do this trip and then you're going to get all this content at the end. Like, if I do some stuff great, it's because I'm excited to share it. And then then also, like, how it's always worked for me is it's built my personal brand bigger. Now, after years of this, everyone just associates me with travel, even though 80% of our business is local.
Right.
Local and and marketing retainers. And people are like, oh, you guys do ads and websites and copy? And I'm like, I don't want to talk about that. Like, those are only for the right people that we're doing the video campaign for, right? All of that's come to support those clients. So what was I talking about?
That it's more worth it to have the footage than to have extra cash.
So the marketing side of things, secondarily, like, I shoot photos and I get the prints. So then I can start using prints to sell or market myself further. Also, other brands see you working and doing that. So that also helps bring more of that in. and you also get the experience. Like I spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours shooting travel films just here in Florida by myself with a camera, to get good at it. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds more on the road. Every time we're still learning, we're still getting better. Like Antarctica was the first time we filmed in like blizzard conditions, and it's like, okay, man, I learned a lot of things about shooting in snow, so that's how I look at it. It's like, find a way that, you have to earn the deal, basically. All right, well, I could go, or maybe I could bring someone else and we could drop the $5,000. It still would be really good just to get something in, because I want to rent equipment for this too. I want to do it right. The more I can get, the more I know we can do, and then we can figure out the editing after and just start with the most important pieces to roll out. But I know this makes sense. And I'll also send you my client's funnel, because she's a luxury concierge. So nice. It's the exact same thing. You just need to build.
Awesome. Sweet. Well, I appreciate it, man.
All of that stuff too. So
yeah, this is hugely, hugely helpful. And I think she's going to be floored by the idea, because I know she's not paying face value even for the travel costs, necessarily. I think she's absolutely going to be into that idea. So. Right. You can even last thought, you can even have her talk to some of her partners there and say, hey, I'm bringing a video team. We intend to be filming. At the end, they can get you some videos. They're asking for $500 for just a quick little 30-second, B-roll. If that's something you're interested, let me know. You could scoop, there's ways to get money there. You can find another brand, reach out to a brand, say, hey, I'm going to Italy. I love your shit. We'll take some content while we're out there, whatever. There's ways to make it all make sense. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Cool.
So thanks, man. I appreciate it so much. No problem.
Keep me posted on how it goes.
Yeah. I'll let y'all know when the deal closes. So.
All right. Sounds good. I like the language on that, because it's going to be closed. It's not even an option.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. This should be a no-brainer for her at this point.
Hell yeah.
So.
All right.
Awesome.
Chat later. See ya.
See you, man. Thanks.